Labour is pledging it will get working within months of election victory to build clean power that will turn the page on the cost of living crisis. Sir Keir Starmer will warn that family financial security depends on energy security and accusing the Tories of failing to make Britain resilient as he launches the logo and website for Great British Energy at an event in Scotland with Scottish Labour leader Anna Sawar. And Labour's pledge to set up a publicly owned company to invest in domestic power sources, that's part of the party's 6-point First Steps policy, aims to tackle the cost of living crisis by cutting energy bills. Early investments by Great British Energy will include wind and solar projects across the UK, as well as making Scotland a world leader in new technologies such as floating offshore wind, hydrogen and CCS, as Starmer pledged. Labour plans to fund the company, which will be headquartered in Scotland, through a windfall tax on big oil and gas firms, with an initial £8.3 billion capitalisation over a parliament. The plan has been endorsed by former Chief Scientific Advisor Sir Patrick Vallance, who wrote in The Times, "The prize is huge. Lower energy bills, good jobs, more innovative businesses, energy security and climate leadership. If we choose to go slowly, others will provide the answers and we will ultimately end up buying the solutions rather than selling them. Getting to a clean power system fast and with appropriate technologies is an investment, not simply a cost. And being self-sufficient in energy will mean that our country is never again left so exposed by our dependency on an unstable international fossil fuel market. This is a challenge that we should not shrink from and say it's too hard, but roll up our sleeves and give it everything we have got." It comes in the wake of the energy price shock, which saw costs soar in the aftermath of the COVID pandemic and Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Labour says that in the last 2 years, a typical family paid £1,880 more on energy bills than they would have done if prices have stayed the same, while the government spent £94 billion of taxpayers' money on capping energy costs. The party says the Office of Budget Responsibility, or OBR, has warned that if the UK remains dependent on gas, families and taxpayers could see a repeat of the recent crisis, and accused the Tories of leaving households at risk of a £900 annual energy price spike. And Starmer said, "Family financial security depends on energy security. The pain and misery of the cost of living crisis was directly caused by the Tories' failure to make Britain resilient, leaving us at the mercy of fossil fuel markets controlled by dictators like Putin. It doesn't have to be this way. Our clean power mission with Great British Energy will take back control of our destiny and invest in cheap, clean, homegrown energy that we control. We will turn the page on the cost of living crisis. The choice at this election is clear: higher bills and energy insecurity with the Conservatives, or lower bills and energy security with Labour." And Ed Miliband, Shadow Energy Security and Net Zero Secretary, said, "Great British Energy will kickstart our mission for clean power to lower bills and boost our energy independence. It is time to move on from the Tories' boneheaded opposition to clean energy, for which British families are paying the price." The choice at this general election is clear: higher bills and energy insecurity with the Conservatives, or lower bills and energy independence with Labour. Well, sounds like Starmer. Claire Coutinho, Energy Security and Net Zero Secretary, accused Labour of an unfunded promise with its plans for Great British Energy that would cost taxpayers, and attacked the party's moves to stop new oil and gas licenses in the North Sea, claiming it would hit jobs. By sticking to the Conservatives' clear plan, energy bills are at the lowest point since 2022, but we must go further. That's why we are taking bold action to guarantee the future of the energy price cap as we back new nuclear power and offshore wind, keeping bills low and ensuring families are not lumbered with the cost of reaching net zero, she said. The Green Party said Labour's plans do not go far enough and fail to address energy efficiency through home insulation and the electrification of home heating. And party co-leader Adrian Ramsay said, "We need real change if we are to meet the demands of the climate crisis. These Labour plans do not deliver it." Compared to Labour's original commitment to spend £28 billion a year on green investment, this announcement of just £8.3 billion over the course of the Parliament looks tiny and is nowhere near enough to deliver Labour's promise of clean electricity. And Friends of the Earth's head of policy Mike Childs said, Labour's pledge to develop the UK's enormous homegrown renewable energy potential is great news that will help to power the transition to a green economy that we so urgently need. But the party mustn't rest on its laurels just because there's one strong green policy. We are yet to hear how it intends to tackle the enormous carbon pollution created by transport and heating our homes, for example, which can be addressed by rolling out a nationwide program of insulation, funding the switch to heat pumps, and delivering a true public transport renaissance. He called on all parties to strengthen their green commitments. And Alistair Johnston from the Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit said, "The UK has spent £100 billion on gas during the energy crisis of the last couple of years, placing a burden not only on bill payers but also taxpayers as bills were subsidized. With prices set to go up again in October, there will be a need to insulate from more gas price volatility. This means using less gas and more British renewables, along with insulating homes so they leak less heat. Recent polling showed that the public think that the best long-term solution to the energy crisis is to decrease dependence on gas and transition to renewable energy." And Max Wakefield, the co-director of climate charity Possible, said, "Lifting the ban on onshore wind is one of the quickest and best things an incoming government can do for the climate and our country. It's clean, it's cheap, it's popular, and it will bring down bills as a homegrown renewable energy source." The Conservative Tories, who have a majority of over 80 seats in Parliament, are 20 percentage points behind Labour in the opinion polls and are not due to win this one on July 4th. Sunak was holding the election kind of some say hostage, but he's doing it now, and so we have the date. But Starmer has done everything in his power to convince the establishment that he has a steady hand and would do nothing to threaten the status quo in the country now, and we will see if he brings what he promises. When he was elected in 2019, he wanted to go on with the policies of Jeremy Corbyn in the economic ways, but he has changed the party a lot, and he has carried out a kind of a purge of the party's left wing. For example, promises to renationalize water, the post office and energy, popular even among Tory supporters, have been abandoned. Under Labour, the railways will be nominally renationalised, but engines and carriages will remain privately owned and rail freight will remain private. And unions are also increasingly concerned that Labour's New Deal for workers has been watered down to the point that it risks becoming a bad bosses charter, as some lefties put it. Sharon Graham of the Unite Union said that at the weekend that the policy had more holes than Swiss cheese. But I do love Swiss cheese, by the way. Nevertheless, we will see what will happen, but at least on energy we got a little bit more detail from Labour. One of the problems in this campaign is the lack of facts. But if you want to know more, the next video is right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.